everyone. I'm Dr. Renee Mehrra. Thank you so much for joining. Today, I'll be talking about the film American Sikh, which is a Oscar-qualified animated short film. And it is a true story of an American-born, turban-wearing Sikh illustrator, writer, performance artist, and a diversity speaker, Vishavjit Singh. He's the director and the producer of the film. Thank you so much, Vishavjit, for joining me today.
Thank you for having me, Dr. Renee. A pleasure is mine.
And joining Vishavjit Singh is a very dear friend of mine, Michelin-starred celebrity chef Vikas Khanna, who is the executive producer of American Sikh. Thank you both.
Hey, Dr. Renee.
So let me go back to Vishavjit. We're talking about identity crisis, the trials and tribulations that you've gone through, and that is a very relatable issue and that many American Sikhs and Sikhs all around the world face. But there is a little twist in this, which I feel that the new page that you bring in this story and your true story is when you don the costume of a superhero and there's total acceptance. So let's go back to the genesis of this and share with our viewers what was going on in your mind when you thought of starting and getting this film out.
Yeah, I mean, my Captain America performance art, which is, you referred to, kind of came as an extension of my cartooning illustration work, which got its spark actually in the aftermath of 9/11, the tragedy of 9/11, a lot of hate crimes and bias crimes that were happening against Sikhs and many others, many brown communities. And I started cartooning the year after in 2002. And basically my cartoons, which I called Sikh Toons, had a lot of turban and bearded characters. I mean, I was trying to reflect people who look like me, who I do not see in the American media landscape. So 10 years later, the first Captain America movie had come out in the summer, and I was planning to go to the New York City Comic Con for the first time as an exhibitor. And I saw the poster and I had this vision in my head, Captain America should have a turban and beard. So I illustrated that, took it to the Comic Con, and it kind of created a little bit of a buzz. Some people were confused, some liked it, some were not sure what's going on. Why does Captain America have a turban? But it started conversation, and I think that was a critical piece. I knew maybe I'd stumbled upon something. And a photographer in passing asked me, you should come back next year dressed up as Captain America. And I said no, like a very emphatic no. Why? Because I've been bullied all my life. In post 9/11, people have told me to go back home and all kinds of horrible things. So it took her a year to convince me to don the uniform. So we did a photo shoot 10 years ago in New York City, in Central Park, Lower West Side, where I was dressed up as Captain America as a social experiment. And I really wasn't sure, Dr. Renee, what was going to happen. I actually thought people were going to be offended. They were going to harass me. And something magical happened. People embraced me as one of their own. I got hugs from strangers. I got pulled into a wedding. I got access to a fire department truck. I got photos taken with police officers. It was one of the most amazing days of my life. And I realized, wow, there's a power to stories, even fictional stories, because we all know Captain America is not real. But the power of that story is when people see me dressed up as Captain America, they just, something changes in their minds and they treat me very differently than me dressed up right now in civilian clothes.
They feel that there's a connect through Captain America. And that is something so magical. I mean, nothing changed with you. Your persona is still the same, yet when you donned a new costume, boom, everything is like a 180-degree shift. And that paradigm shift brought such amazing transformation in so many people about you and created so much of hope and a feeling of, hey, I'm part of you. So it's just amazing. You're just the same person, but yet bringing in this new identity of Captain America brought such a change.
Yeah, it is. I am amazed. I've been doing this for the last 10 years. I've been getting invitations since that first photo shoot. I've been getting invitations from schools and companies and late night shows, and people are like, hey, Vishavjit, come and share your story. And I think what I've realized is, when you share your story through its ups and downs, through its dark times, its, happy times, people connect to different parts of that story. And that's what I've found very rewarding in the last few years, and especially with this film, which took us 4 years, me and Ryan Westra, my co-creator based in Southern California, he really wanted to capture my story more than I did. And he's like, hey, let's make a film. So it took us 4 years. And it's basically, our hope is to make people realize, look, we have a lot in common through our, through thick and thin, dark and light, and we can overcome. And it's not just me. I've had a lot of love and affection from strangers and others who've showered me with kindness and compassion, and that's kind of like my superpower. Okay, I hold on to that and say, okay, despite all the negativity, despite all the people telling me, go back home, you don't belong. I remember those, people who are kind and compassionate, and I say, you know what, I'm gonna get through.
And that segues into something also major, because you become an ambassador and the voice of so many Sikhs all around the world, and share your identity, who Sikhs are. So you become basically a role model for so many people. And this is a big responsibility for you.
It is, I totally realize that people see me as a role model, and my hope and goal is that I am transparent and I'm open about my vulnerabilities, and that's one of the biggest lessons I've learned in life. And I share that with people, especially youngsters, that hey, you're gonna have vulnerabilities, but use that. Actually, that is potentially your superpower. Live with it. Don't run away from your vulnerabilities. And I'm a shy, introverted guy, but I might not appear to be anymore because I don this uniform. But I think that is the lesson really here is, we all can be ambassadors for humanity and for the different groups we belong to. But the key thing is be authentic, be true to yourself. You have to accept yourself for who you are. And sometimes it takes a while. It took me a long time to accept myself and my vulnerabilities. But it's been a wild up and down, but a really fruitful journey. And I'm still on it and learning from my fellow human beings who are inspire me, and including Vikas. I've met so many amazing people in this filmmaking process.
Well, life is always a learning experience. And I want to go now to Vikas. Vikas, you always come out with unique concepts in your films. Was it The Last Color or The Barefoot Princess? And I followed you through as a friend, as a reporter, producer. Tell me how you got connected with Vishavjit Singh for this film.
This story is very, very close to my heart. I think you first interviewed me for my film Holy Kitchens.
Yes.
You talked about Guru Nanak Dev Ji's lesson that what is a true business. And it was a short film, and it came out at the right time. Then the Wisconsin Gurdwara shootings had happened, and they made me travel around US to talk about who Sikhs are. So they're still very unhealed scars for me, because I witnessed 1984 in Amritsar. And I was a teenager, as a child, you don't know what is a political backdrop. You don't understand, but you just remember that pain, and those scars remain with you. So there's so many wars which I've seen, Renee. And for me, this is something which we don't talk enough about, that how a war actually scars a child. They will always keep producing statistics about the wars and casualties and everything, but the kids who are survivors, they're watching this. For them, this is something which they'll never recover from. And for me, when I saw Vishavjit many years ago as a superhero costume, I think I put a story everywhere like this. Just look at this. This just makes sense, because, as a child, I always saw superheroes as Sikhs. We are born in Amritsar. Most of my literature, my studies, my research, my everything was coming from Sikh Gurdwaras. And for us, they are the first ones who come out for casualties. They're the first ones when something happens. They're the first ones who are putting the langar out. And for me, I had, in my mind as a child, I had conceived this entire thing as superhero. They are the followers of Guru Nanak Dev Ji. For me, that's a superhero. And for me, it was like nothing has surprised me. While everybody around me questioned that why Captain America has a beard and a turban. For me, it was like, oh, it's always been like that. But when the story came, and, I know that they were working on the animation when they got the selection in Tribeca Film Festival, which is a big deal to pick up a New York story, such a diverse story, and put it up there on that platform. I said, this is going to make it. And then we connected through Guneet Monga, and I was always in love. It's just that this is just an extension of it.
And it took 4 years.
Yeah, it was 4 years, 2018 to 2022, pre-COVID, through COVID. Me and Ryan spent many hours, hundreds of hours, sort of talking to each other, working on this film. So we have a team of animators in Australia. We have a storyboard artist who's based out of Utah. We have music composers who are also based in California. So very diverse team geographically and otherwise a diverse team. Just a really amazing process. Took 4 years because COVID happened and we had to raise funds. Animation films are expensive, and we wanted to make sure we went through 30 cuts of this film. So the version people are seeing is actually number 30 because we just wanted to make sure that we tell the most powerful story we can and the most powerful animation as possible.
Yeah, it is a very powerful message through this story. And it's already received a lot of recognition and awards in film festivals.
Yeah, we have been traveling after New York, Tribeca. We've been all over the US, including New Zealand. We won awards at festivals from Birmingham, Alabama to Wichita, Kansas, to Chicago and San Diego and Seattle. So yeah, we've been humbled and thrilled at the same time to have all that recognition and all the love and affection from so many people from many different backgrounds.
The world premiere is at the Tribeca Film Festival.
Yes, that was back in June. Yeah.
When the Sikh community in the US and other places around the world have watched this film, what has been their reaction? Like, Vishavjit, we totally understand. This film is just us.
I've had young people, like teenagers, sometimes younger than teenagers, kids come up to me and adults come up to me and saying, especially there's a sequence of hate crimes in there post 9/11 and they connect to it. They're like, look, I've gone through this. Somebody called me this. Oh, I've gone through this. I know somebody who was attacked. And I think there is a very deep, personal, painful connection. But at the same time, I think they love the fact that we have a Sikh story, an American story with a Sikh character out in sort of the big screen. And I think that is something, they feel, hopefully this is the start. We're going to have many more films and shows on streaming platforms coming. So that potential, people are realizing and going, you know what, let's tell more stories. Let's tell more stories that are diverse, hopeful, even in these dark times where we're having so many discords and divisions. We can find common ground in our stories.
Right. And I think because you and Guneet Monga Kapoor as executive producers, you can create an exponential awareness about such stories and these personal narratives that can create a lot of transformation in so many people's lives about Sikh identity. The onus lies on both of you so that it becomes like a worldwide understanding of Sikhs are. So where do you want to take it from here?
When I connected with Vishavjit, I had 2 requests for them. I said, you guys, first thing was that it will be one of the biggest moments for me to see a Sikh wearing a turban climbing up the steps of the Oscars. And second would be that we need to take the Oscars to the Golden Temple.
Yes.
We need what I promised Guneet when she was campaigning for Elephant Whisperers. I said, Guneet, I will be at the airport to receive the Oscar in Amritsar. Wow. And my mom is going to drive Vishavjit. So I love this small happiness. Of course, I work like a hustler and a crazy maniac, which many people can't, this is crazy how many hours you put into anything you take. But for me, that little dream becomes the bullet point. And that's the most important, that we need to take it back from where it starts for us. Yeah. A tradition of seva where everything was based around the community. For me, this will be one of the most iconic moments of Vishavjit's stories getting to the world.
And because I always thought you're a deep thinker, very creative, and cooking is just, I think, a part of your life. But I think this is so much the depth and breadth of your personality shows out in so many films that you have put out, and brings a reawakening in many people's lives about so many issues that you bring out in your stories, especially this one, American Sikh. Where do we take it off from now? Vishavjit, you did talk about that you're going to be putting out more narratives and more stories. So this time it's an animated short that's Oscar qualified. You want to continue because you've gotten so much of recognition on this and many accolades, and people understand you better. So you want to take it to the next level. So have you got any plans right now? Not just a short one, but a longer one, like a feature film?
Absolutely. Me and Ryan are already creating pitches for full feature-length animation films, streaming platform shows. That is already happening. We have started pitching it to some of the big studios in Hollywood. So yeah, that process has started, and we're hoping in 2024, that next project is going to happen. But yes, we are very driven by all the love and support and committed to bringing more diverse, Sikh, and other stories that really are sometimes misrepresented, and so we want to make sure that we bring that richness of stories that need to be told.
When you talk about youngsters and young adults who are reading comics or something, you're an illustrator, so I think you can use that platform as well.
Absolutely, yeah. I would love to. I've been asked a few times, Vishavjit, create a graphic novel, tell your story. So yeah, that's another project that needs to happen, and I'm going to hopefully find time to do that. But yeah, it's been 20 years of hard work of being an illustrator, activist, speaker, and I think that journey is now coming to a point where I can hopefully, start creating bigger projects and hopefully inspire. Sorry?
After March.
Yes, after March. Yes, because keeps me grounded. Okay, stay focused. Yes, that is true.
That's because.
That is because. Yes, no, absolutely. So yes, after March, more projects to come. Full feature length projects.
I promise you to bring you book deals for animation, everything, but after March. One thing.
Thank you, Vikas.
But that is, I've seen that Dr. Renee has also been very supportive of the new ideas of our community. She's been one of the first forefront supporters of not just Indians, but people of color and minorities. She has always come out and given her voice to them and in an intellectual space. And I feel that this is a story which needs more voices to be added to it, to create more strength to it. And I feel that it is amazing. And just, when people were asking me, because when I started posting about American Sikh, so somebody asked me, oh, what do you mean by that? I said, it just means in translate. You think translate the name. I said, it means American learner. We need to keep learning. It's that simple a title. Sikh means somebody who's always looking and always learning. And they're like, isn't that an amazing name? I'm like, yeah, just look at it from the point of view that the guy was learning his sense of belonging. He was learning his inner powers. Yeah. And how the acceptance is such an important part of every human. It's a very universal story.
And when you amplify the voices of communities of color or marginalized communities, I think that brings hope to all those communities. They have done it, we can do it too. So I think it will have a domino effect on many communities of color.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the goal. I know I'm inspired by, many other stories that are out there. And my hope is, yes, that in turn I can inspire other storytellers to to come and tell stories. And as Vikas said, belonging, diversity and inclusion, those are very important pillars. And I know sometimes we argue about those things, but I think at the end of the day, we all want to have dignity, a basic human dignity. And I think we need to, certainly if we expect that of us, we need to also extend that to fellow human beings as well.
And Vikas, I'm sure you're going to be tied up with Vishavjit and Ryan Westra for many, many more maybe feature film or shorts with them?
For me, it has to be when I meet people, even if I don't know them, you meet them, when you meet Vishavjit, you see this sense of energy, which you always wanted a narrative to be coming from a Sikh guy, which is more universal. Of course, I get approached all the time to produce movies, but when he speaks, there's something so universal, which is not just based on a single faith. If you look at Sikhism, there's the entire Guru Granth Sahib Ji is talking about every faith, the universal voice of humanity. Yes. So when he speaks to me, it just takes me back to my teachers in Amritsar who were teaching us about Guru Nanak Dev Ji and entire Sikhi. And for me, I hope that the projects create more resonant voices together. And absolutely, this is something which has been very close to my heart forever.
And I think resonates with a lot of people. You both are moving this to a new dimension. And hopefully we'll see more films that will create a big impact, and it's going to be inspiring, educating, and empowering many communities. When would you know that you're going to make it to the Oscars? It's going to be next year in 2024.
It is, yes. So it's going to be in January, yes.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
a big thanks to Vikas and Guneet and our team, and thank you, Dr. Renee, for amplifying, our voices as well.
Well, thank you so
Okay,
very much.
So, Dr.
Vikas, you
Renee,
want to give your final thoughts on this?
yeah, before you go, I would like to know your views on the film. And
Yeah, American Sikh amplifies the voices of so many people, especially communities of color, and it resonates with many, many people. So you're bringing that exponential awareness about Sikh identity all around the world, and it'll help to empower, educate, and inspire many people about Sikh identity. That we're talking about gender equality, we're talking about peace, we're talking about respect for all creation, and that is a universal message that American Sikh and Sikhism talks about. So I really thank you for bringing this out through this animated short, which is qualified for Oscars. And I hope it does win the Oscars, as an animated short film, because that will bring more hope and it'll inspire you, both of you, to make more films to help even bring this identity to the next level. People who don't sometimes watch film festivals, but they go out and watch feature film, and they'll get a better grip of what American Sikhs are all about, what Sikhs are all about, and what Sikhism is all about. So that is very important. I congratulate you both for bringing out this animated short, and hope to see some more of them down the future. So thank you, Vishavjit Singh, director and producer of American Sikh, and executive producer Vikas Khanna.
thank you, Dr.
Thank you, Dr. Renee.
Thank you. And I'm Dr. Renee Mehrra. Stay healthy, stay positive.